Hi, it's Corey again from Path of Friendship, and welcome back to another Mindful Mutt moment. I have Cecil here with me and Bodhi here with me, and we're going to just take a moment to get ourselves centered. So just take a breath in, let it out, experience it, feel it in your body, get connected with what's happening now. If other thoughts start to come in, just let them go. Just watch them. A typical way of thinking about it is as you'd watch clouds in the sky. So as thoughts come, they're clouds that go, and then they'll pass. You know, they kind of rise up, show themselves, and they disappear out. So don't try to push them out, and don't try to thrust them or block them from coming in. It's what's experiencing now. I mean, the present moment is everything that's experienced, the sights, the sounds, your breathing, and your thoughts. That's all happening. The idea is not to get sticky with any of them, not to kind of get sort of lost in a thought or get so sticky in one experience at the exclusion of everything else. So it's like if you listen to an orchestra, you can focus on one particular instrument, but it's really nice to get the whole experience of hearing them all, rather than taking our spotlight and focusing in on one thing and then another thing and then another thing. We're expanding that out to everything, and that's what the experience of mindfulness is, and that's what our dogs experience sometimes. Now, they definitely focus, and they have incredible abilities to focus and pay attention to specific things that are happening now, what they see. Their eyes are remarkable at seeing movement and patterns. Obviously their nose, their sense of smell is a different universe than ours. They can smell in more detail sometimes than we can even see. And their their ears and their hearing and all that kind of stuff, that's all, they can focus on it. But quite often when they're just like this, when you watch your dog and they're just sort of sitting or lying there, maybe they're not sleeping, maybe their eyes are half open, they're not thinking about the day's agenda, they're not thinking about tomorrow's plans, they're not rehashing the experiences they had yesterday, saying, I should have said that, or I should have done that, or I wish I did this, or... No, they're just taking it all in as if it's this whole symphony of experiences happening now. And that's why sharing these moments with them, we can bring ourselves to their level and share this kind of mindful experience with them. And that deepens our friendship because we become equally connected at that point. We share an experience, and that bonds us. We can't connect if we're on different levels. We can only connect when we're the same. And that's when we can intertwine and be good friends. Yeah, boy. There is so that's being very mindful with our dogs, and that's sharing that experience. So today I want to talk about there's a line. The first chapter, the Tao Te Ching, is a book of wisdom. You could call it a book of koans if you think of it that way, or a book of just thoughts written, I think, in the 4th century BC, or supposedly written by Lao Tzu, who was supposedly the author of the Tao Te Ching. Whether he was real or not is still up for debate. Many think that he wasn't really an actual person, but a conglomerate of a lot of different sort of philosophers of the time. Regardless of that, that's unimportant. It's what's in the book that's important. And the first line of the book really is all you need to know. And really what it says is, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. In other words, if you can talk about it, if you can put a name on it, it's not the experience. And this is very, very true when it comes to being with our dogs, which is why connecting with them on an experiential level is so important. But here's what I mean about that. I could put my dog, I can label my dogs and talk about who they are with all these sort of words and classifications and labels on them, but it doesn't really get to the actual experience of it. See, there are 3 ways that we can really know something. The first is we can sort of just hear it, right? I could tell you, for example, that I make the world's best salad dressing. And you could just blindly accept it. Say, sure, he said it, I believe it. That's not so good. Second best way is I could tell you I make the world's best salad dressing, and then you can break that down into little classifications by looking at my recipe and thinking, okay, he adds this, this, and this. Sure, it sounds like it's good. I'll believe him. That's okay too. But what's the best way to really know if this is true? And that is by the experience of it, by tasting it. And if you taste it and you experience it and you put the words aside, that's when you really know. And that's what we have to do with our dogs. We have to put those labels aside, put those words at the side, because the friendship that can be spoken about is not the real friendship. The friendship is the experience. By the way, I do make the world's best salad dressing. The labels and the classifications and the words we give, we love to throw them around and use them. I hear it so often. There's always these, and I've been doing this for well over 35 years now. So I've seen the fashions of these different classifications come and go, and all different. People love to put their dogs into categories. You know, my dog is reactive, or my dog is does resource guarding or fear aggression. We love to box them in and put them in there. Why? Because in those boxes are easy to manipulate and control. But the truth is, there are infinite number of variables and different things that are going on to take our dogs, this fantastic thing that's constantly changing, and to try to lock it in a box it gives them a disservice. The philosopher Korzybski said, the map is not the territory, right? If you look at a map, it's very different. I do a lot of hiking, and quite often if I'm going to go someplace that I haven't hiked before, I'll look at a topo map or a different map. As much as I study that, there's nothing compares to being there and actually walking the trail and experiencing it. So the labels and things that we give our dogs take us further away and further separate us and disconnect us from our dogs. And what we need to do is suspend those labels, suspend those words. We love putting things in cages. I think it was the poet Blake said, a robin redbreast in a cage puts all heaven in a rage. And I find that to be very true. When people tell me my dog is shy, I once had my dog stay at a daycare, and when I went to pick her up, the first thing she did was slap a label on the dog. Oh, your dog's a shyer. You know, that right away I knew she didn't see my dog. She only saw the label that she gave the dog. Why? Because it's lazy and it's easy. But our dogs, if we're going to be friends with them, we need to get rid of those labels that we see and really connect with them on a present moment basis. I do an exercise, and this is something that you can try with a lot of my clients to kind of show how the more labels we put on our dogs, the less we really see them. I want you to try this. I want you to print out a photograph of your dog. Take a photograph of your dog, print it out, and then get a big, thick black magic marker or Sharpie, and write over the photograph of your dog every different label and category and box that you put your dog in. So you can put in shy, you can put in their breed, hound, pit bull, shih tzu. You can put in their name, Bodhi, Cecil. You can write on pulls, excitable, funny. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad labels. Just start writing all the labels that you have for your dog, all the categories you've put them in. And if you do this exercise correctly and you're honest with yourself, you'll find that you've written so many labels over the photograph that you no longer see your dog. All you see are the labels that are on top. And we're missing something when we do that. So we need to take, as if we can take a big eraser and just erase all that. In fact, we should even throw away the photograph, because the photograph is still not the same as being in the moment and present with our dogs. So these labels, these categories, they can be sometimes useful, but they're useful servants they are very poor masters, as the saying goes. And when we use those names and those labels as ways of influencing our thinking and influencing our connection, then we're not connected at all with them. Because all they do is put a gap and a barrier and bars between it. Once I label Bodhi as something, I've just put barriers there. And they manipulate our thinking. So don't let anybody ever tell you your dog is ... fill in the blank. You know your dog better than anyone. And when you connect with them on a mindful level like this, you can forget all those labels and experience them in the moment. And by the way, our dogs are not absolutely fixed. They don't come off an assembly line somewhere where each one is the same, as if my car came off an assembly line, and I know the same year and model of my car. Most of them are going to be exactly the same, but our dogs are different. Our dogs are in a way a process. In fact, one of the best ways to describe our dogs is Bodhi, he's not a noun. A noun is a fixed object. He's a verb. He's a process in action. My dogs are, and your dogs and all creatures are, like whirlpools in a stream. You look at a stream and you see a little whirlpool in there between the rocks. We can say this is the whirlpool, but you can't pick it up. It's constantly changing and flowing and going and depending on the current. And the same with our dogs. They're different moment to moment to moment to moment. And to not connect with them in the moment, to miss it, is to miss being with them and to miss that friendship. So get your dogs out of the box. Get yourselves out of the box too. And connect with them on a mindful level, on a mindful basis, where you really get to see them. That's what real friendship is. All right. Well, I will see all of you on the next one. Take care. Bye.